All right, welcome back to part 2 of this lesson. I apologize, I did not realize we were going quite this far in this first lesson, so we do need to have just a couple more minutes together to finish this last problem. Then you'll do your closing check and you'll be all set. So on our last problem together, it says that a company is designing a new can for iced tea, and the volume of the can will be 15 cubic inches. So here's the height of the can. They want to know what is the radius if the volume is 15. So right now we know the volume is 15. So we need to find out what is the radius. What is the radius? So when we are working with problems like this, we're essentially going to be working backwards. So we need to remember everything we know about volume of cylinders so far, which is that the volume equals pi times the radius squared times the height. This is our formula for finding the volume of a cylinder. Well, right now we're being asked to find the radius, but we already know the volume and we know the height. So let's plug in what we do know to this equation. So I'm going to plug this 15 in for volume here, and I'm going to say 15, which is my volume, is going to equal pi times my radius squared times my height. Well, my height, they already told us, is 4.8. Times 4.8. So, believe it or not, we actually only have one variable inside of this equation now because we already know that we can estimate pi to be 3.14. So we can say that 15 equals 3.14 times the radius squared times the radius squared times 4.8, and we can simplify. We can do 3.14 times 4.8 to simplify this equation. So 3.14 times 4.8 gives us 15. I'm going to round it to 15.1. So we have a little bit fewer decimals to work with here. So 15 from my left side equals 15.1 times radius squared. Times the radius squared. So what I need to do now is say, okay, if I have 15.1 times my radius, remember I'm trying to figure out what my radius is, so I want this variable to be by itself now. So right now these two terms are being multiplied together, so I need to divide them by 15.1. Divide them by 15.1. So 15 divided by 15.1, oh, that's going to be really close to 1. 15 divided by 15, 15 divided by 15.1 is, sorry, I typed that in wrong. There it is, 0.99. So let's go ahead and round this to 1. We're going to round it to 1 because this is really, really, really close to 1. So we're going to say 1 equals radius squared. Well, the radius still is not by itself yet because it has this squared thing over here with it. So to undo a square, just like when we were working with Pythagorean theorem, we take the square root. So radius squared square root is just the radius, and the square root of 1 is 1. So 1 equals r. So we have the can is going to have a radius of 1 inch. 1 inch over here. And we'll go back to Pearson here and check. See if they rounded it differently. Yep, oh, they rounded a little differently than us, but they still ended up rounding back to 1 at the end, so that's great. There is one for you to try it. If you'd like to try it, go ahead and pause the video. I'll pull up the answers right now. So this one, they gave you the volume is 192 pi, so they left it in terms of pi, which is fine, and a height of 12. So they did volume, they replaced volume right here. Pi radius squared times 12. They divided by 12 pi, so we got 16 equals radius squared, and your answer would be 4 for the radius. Right? Feel free to pause the video if you want to see that again. Otherwise, like I promised, we're going to jump to our close and check. And for today, you are going to do numbers 1, 2, and 4, and then come on back to check your work. Okay, here are those answers. Feel free to pause the video and have a great rest of your day, everyone.